This is. I'm not gonna say it after that burp. I'm gonna wait a second and record it. This is episode 14 of Pound Town Revolt. Gods, guns, and genitalia.
Human, and I'm coming.
Oh,
That's been like my go-to. Like,
dude.
just been throwing that one out there.
What?
I'm human, and I'm coming. It's my
Dude.
favorite. It's my favorite.
Should we do gods, guns, and gonads instead of gods, guns, and genitalia?
I mean, I think genitalia works. Just because it's such a big ass word compared to the other two. So like it creates like a ramping effect.
Okay. I was just curious if we wanted to record the other just in case. But we can go ahead and go with gods, guns, and genitalia. All right. So this is episode 14. Logan, you have some pre-show tidbits that you wanted to talk about.
So friend of the show, Riggleman, who we've talked about before as our Bigfoot erotica author, conservative politician, has been continuing to make waves in Republican circles. Think from what I saw.
So from the article I saw, he went on CNN and said stuff like prematurely that the January 6th committee hadn't like authorized him to say yet.
Yeah. I mostly just wanted to bring it up just because like he was like a guy that we'd talked about before.
Yeah, I got you.
And this sort of stuff like happens all the time. Like if you're a party, you probably generally try to control as much information getting out as you can.
Oh, for sure.
But he's moving on to pro Ukraine aid.
Yeah, he's doing something.
So he's honestly like probably moving on to doing something way more useful than being a senator. So more power to him, I guess. But I think he ultimately just like divulged some stuff that he was working on. I guess he's a probably an anti-Jan Sixer, was trying to help the commission out, and then just kind of let slip what he was doing a little too early.
Well, I mean, he was basically tracking the QAnon nuts stuff before. And then, like, he was one of the guys, like, I looked at for information on that stuff, kind of. And then, like, if he's reporting that stuff, it's kind of obvious, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny we're talking about that with Discordians in a little bit, but kind of happens that way. So in the Lyceum this week, something came up about purity culture in the church, and I kind of brought that up. Fun shit. Yeah. So I went through it when I was younger, and I say it kind of fucked me up a little bit, and then we saw that it definitely fucked up some other women. I don't think we should mention their names and shit here.
I will not. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like we don't even need to, because I feel like we could probably just paint with broad strokes.
Oh, definitely, especially with all the news recently about all these different like pastors and priests from different sects coming out. I don't know if you've seen all that kind of news on your feed.
Well, the stories of like, and these are all stories that I've heard before. Like I've heard stories of like certain pastors like pressuring young women in their congregations to get abortions. I've heard stories of like really, really weird interviews. I've heard stories of like just like I think purity culture, specifically on like sort of the like myopic focus on female virginity is really, really weird.
If
And
you've had sex, you're tainted.
you're tainted. You're something about licking cupcakes. I don't quite remember the thing, but that was a pretty funny story because I remember the one lady you mentioned was talking about how they would do the object lessons to where they would like lick a cupcake and try to get kids to like eat the cupcakes. And I'm like, oh, I specifically remember that Sunday school thing because I was poor as shit. So like I just eat the cupcake right there. And I'm like, it's just got a little like there's spit in my mouth too. Why do I care if some of like a little bit of your spit is also on this cupcake? Like I'm gonna eat it. Like, just little, 8-year-old Logan. So I've always been basically a little degenerate monster. Is what I've learned. Like he's
Man,
always
I've
been a
always been
living.
little fucking choir boy, but with an
Yeah.
edge.
just a little human raccoon, like walking around, like eating trash, pounding ass.
Oh boy. But yeah, that was definitely something that isn't in the church in the UK. There's a podcast that I'd listened to in the past that had talked about it, but I can't find that episode anymore.
Well, honestly, like their culture in general, like almost everywhere in Europe, is like way more
Lax as fuck, dude.
relaxed, as at least especially with sex.
Oh yeah.
And it seems like it has always been like that. And I don't know if it comes with the fact that like so many of our early like founders were like Puritans, that if it carries through.
I feel like
I
part of it
remember,
does a little bit.
well, we even talked because I was trying to talk about this stuff abstractly, trying to place it in historical context. You know what I mean? Trying to actually like do some historicity, try to do some like. And I was like, okay, like this obsession with female purity mostly comes as an extension of property rights. Like you can trace this all throughout history. Rape used to be treated more as a property crime against a girl's father. Like it's all tied into like ways to guarantee patrilineal succession. Like there are the old school obsession with female virginity, while weird to me, at least makes sense if you are trying to like make sure that all your cows go to your actual children on a societal level, like on a big picture level. That makes sense to me. Where it's coming from in the modern sense, I have no freaking clue. Like, and that is what I was trying to talk about when we got into the argument with that one guy. I was like, well, this is where this comes from. I don't know what's driving it right now. And he went, that's not where it comes from. I'm just like, okay, bro. Like, it's just whatever. Like, like, I'm sorry, but like generally the things that you believe for a reason. Like it sometimes the reason is stupid, but it came from something is what I'm saying. Like it's not, but people want to believe that like if we want to talk about purity culture and you'd be like, okay, God doesn't want you to have sex until marriage. Why? Why? Fucking why? It's an eternal, perfect, ever present, all loving being. Don't put your pee pee into anything until you've given her dad a cow. Don't do it. I've created the universe. These are the rules. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you actually lay it out, it's nanners. And like, at least in an old society, where it's like, okay, we're trying to enforce something. Let's just make this the rule. Like, you know what I mean? These are the rules. And this is how we make it happen. But like, we're stuck with sort of the ideological like ghost hanging over us,
Mm.
but the original like reasons why we were even actually doing it in the first place are gone, and then they're even harder for me to connect because as far as I can tell, the purity culture that we're experiencing right now is like a new thing relatively, at least as far as like Christianity in America goes. Like, I mean, good God, Benjamin Franklin was like doinking low women,
Porn daddy.
and there were like if we think of like the prudish like Victorian era, like there were tons of prostitutes bopping about England at the time. Like there were so
Okay,
many that you had to
so
come.
I could be very wrong here, but I'm pretty sure time frame wise, Aleister Crowley was around in that like Victorian era where it was very prudish. You know what that motherfucker was up to. He's a fucking
Like
deviant ass bitch, dude.
there's a lot of like we do have a lot of like weird Victorian hangups, but
But
most of that stuff, from what I can tell, was sort of like it was self-contained in a part of the world that we hyper focus on, and they were probably reacting to like everyone else just sucking and fucking. You know what I mean?
oh,
Just being little like it's just like, oh my god, this is awful. Just being little John Adams is like getting all worked up. Like,
god damn it, you're
uh,
not supposed to have fun.
oh wow, God doesn't want you to have fun. God like hates wee wees. But it's and we had an upsurge in purity
Oh,
culture,
excuse me.
um, kind of alongside also the rise of like evangelical Christianity as a political force. Like a lot of this stuff popped popped up in like the 80s and the 90s.
I was gonna
And
say you saw the big counter to like the summer of love type shit, like actual summer of love in the '60s,
yeah.
because they're like them hippie free lovers. You can't do that. That's gross. You're having too much sex, getting the AIDS.
No, and some of the stories that we read, like specifically from women, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, this stuff definitely like it hits both men and women, but I think that the things that it focuses on are different. Like I think I mentioned that like uh for women it is strictly like virginity. Like they have to like you don't fuck anybody
Yeah,
ever.
keep your legs closed. Resist the men's temptations. They can't control it and help it. Type shit.
And for men, you like weren't really expected to be that way. It was more like
No, I think they told you to like to not be that way, but they're like, I don't know. I've also heard where people are like boys will be boys type of shit mentality.
yeah.
But
But
then
I
you also had the people that were saying like you should be warrior mentality, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that warrior man mentality shit.
well, it seems like most of the sexual hangups targeting men that I see
Was Jesus a
are
warrior, motherfucker? Then he was he a warrior, or was he a carpenter? Which one is he closer to? Probably the carpenter, not
a
the
homeless
warrior.
man, really. Like
Well, okay, yeah. If we're getting really technical, he was a homeless man, hermit, and probably like a snake oil salesman type dude. But
around like just walking around yelling at people like all dirty and shit. Let me wash your feet. um but no, like the way that the purity culture like attacks men I think is different because I've noticed that most of the men's sexual hangups like stemming from Christianity are going to be like I honestly I don't feel like I even need to mention homosexuality here. Like I
mhm.
think we can safely say that the church is not exactly cool with homosexuality in America. Um, but at least in the sense that they're going to try to police straight sexuality, I think they tend to try to like they try to sort of do what they tend to be doing to women, like in respect to like porn, basically. Like porn and masturbation seems to be where they really try to give people complexes there. Um,
Well, also, so growing up in that purity culture thing, like it was like if you masturbate and stuff, you felt like it was a pretty bad thing to do. Like, oh, I'm gonna come home, my parents aren't gonna be there. I'm pretty sure we mentioned this in the episode with Anthony in the past. But it's like you jerk off and you come home and it's like, oh, parents aren't gonna be there because rapture happened and you jerked off. You spanked your monkey.
It's literally the Joe Dirt thing, where he said his mom caught him jerking it, and she's like, "Is this where you want to be when Jesus come back?"
Jesus
like,
come back, he'd be spanking his monkey. He'd be like Diogenes spanking his monkey out in public.
Specifically in my bedroom while I'm jerking it, because that's weird. Like I feel like there would be like a news story or so. There might be time for me to do a little cleanup. I could light a candle, maybe spray a little Febreze. Come, my son. Oh wait, you already did. And there's some really awesome memes that accidentally rule. Like you can't climb the ladder to heaven with with hands full of penis. And it's like, what is this? What is this trying to say?
Oh,
and it was like an anti-masturbation thing. And it's like, man, this rules.
Oh boy. So from this topic, I think we can go ahead and roll into our other godly topic.
Well, do we want to touch on like the whore Madonna complex a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the whore so there's like a common like feminist like idea about like the whore Madonna complex, and like one of the articles that I read, a lady talks about how there's sort of a like that's kind of going on as well in the way that like a lot of congregations talk to their young women about, like, you've got like the radiant woman, or I think Boaz was the actual like woman, like probably a more real woman that they would talk about, and then you've got like the whore of Babylon.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And then
where like Peter is like, or is it fuck? I'm so behind on any of my scripture. I'm just gonna say Paul. I don't remember which one wrote Revelation. But the guy,
John, I don't know.
Anyway, the guy that wrote Revelation like has the vision of the whore of Babylon, and he's like enraptured by her or some shit.
Yeah,
and like
John the Elder.
John the Elder wrote it. Is it attributed to anyone? No, Paul wrote the epistles, right?
I don't know. We're gonna have to do an episode on Revelations, because I'm pretty sure the Book of Revelation was actually an anti-Roman document.
That's honestly, that's kind of how I look at it, where just like everybody.
And then these motherfuckers sit and jerk off the Roman Republic now. What the fuck?
I'm sitting there like,
what the fuck?
There was a lion with a really, really hot red chick on top of it, and snakes. It was like, what? What? What's this got to do with Jesus? Like, he's like, I'm getting there. Dude,
well, there's also the thing that he was tripping balls because of all the social unrest at the time and stuff, and he was exiled, so he went a little crazy on the island that he was on.
Definitely.
Oh, brother.
Like, I really wish Lady M was here to talk with us, because it's like, we're going to talk about like this. It's just like, purity culture is bad. Is there really anything else we can say about it? Like, if you're defending it, like if you're giving your kids complexes, if you're trying to like keep basic education from them, like you basically like you're ensuring that they can't actually function in the world that they're living in, and you're actually making them less effective Christians. because they're not going to know how to like talk to people that aren't mind warped. Like, you know what I mean? Because you'll have that when you're out in the street and you meet like one of these people that has maybe gone to church a little bit too many times, and they try to talk to you, and you're like, you know what I mean? Like it sets off those like weird alarm bells, and you're like, what are you talking about right now? Like, I'm good. And you're just trying to get away from them as quick as you can.
Yep.
Which, dude, like I think is it the LDS church that does that on purpose?
I don't
Like
know.
they make their this is something I looked into a while back, but I didn't like dig into it. I was just like, that makes sense, and moved on. Like moved on. But it was like what they do is they basically it's very very similar to like what like Buddhists do to monks in Japan, to where they like you need to go out and you need to collect like an astronomical like an amount of money that they're never going to be able to collect, and like most people just ignore them, and it's like it teaches them humility. But what they do with like this particular subset of Christianity, I think it's LDS, but I don't want to put my balls on the guillotine without having the source. So this particular sect of Christianity specifically is like, okay, you need to go out and you need to convert people. And they'll like send them to a place that where like nobody like they'll send them to like Vegas or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like a place to where like everyone is just gonna be like, get this weirdo the fuck away from me. Like what are you talking about? Go away. And it like what it does is it like freaks them the fuck out because all they've ever known is like this weird like little Leave It to Beaver like life that the church had constructed around them. So like it like makes them scared to actually like go out and be in the world because it's this hostile like den of sin. And it's like, well, no, it just they like and I can kind of like see that like in my own life, like to where like my wife was terrified to like come up here and visit me because of all these like weird experiences she would have in her own faith and how that forced her to interact with the world. And then like when she met me, I was just like, yeah, it's fine. You can talk about it if you want. You want some food? And she was like, well, I just want you to know I'm waiting until marriage. And I'm like, I was offering you a brownie, but okay, that's cool too. But I'm also like where I'm from, I'm kind of used to interacting with people that have experienced like maybe like mild levels of religious abuse. So I'm more like, okay, she's like one of those like holiness people. Like those churches really fuck people up. I just be patient and like when she gets more comfortable, she'll maybe be a little bit more normal. And you know, so like I did that like 3 times, and she's just like, okay, like let me put my mouth on that, please. Like, and it's like, oh, what? Where did this go? But it like, and like you'll talk to her now, and I'll be like, Lindsay, like, do you understand some of the stuff that you would say to me about your church and like some of the things that you've said? And she's just like, yeah, it's bananas. Like what they like. She's almost become an atheist because she's so
Man,
like
some Tennessee Greg Lock churches, I'm telling you.
yeah, she's been taken out of like a hyper religious, hyper fundamentalist, aggressive, hostile church environment and like placed in a normal environment. You know what I mean? Just like a chill environment. And for a while there, like there's like a really, really rough patch to where like people can't handle it because it's like so different than what they're used to. And then they've also got like everyone important in their life has been telling them that everything is like a trap. So like it breaks their brain. Then when it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. These people
Everything is a
lied.
trap.
These people lied to me. What's going on? Oh my god, how could I believe all this nonsense? Um, and I worry that a lot of the there's a lot of like the church had its own like Me Too movement, sort of like a little sub category of
Oh,
that.
that's still going on right
Oh,
now.
I'm sure it is. But the thing is, a lot of those women are just like, and this is how I learned that that's not the real church. And now I'm a spiritual leader doing this. And I'm like, okay, like, have you changed or are you just resetting a cycle? Like, that's what I'm concerned with. Because,
I think a lot more people are switching over to like looking into women led shit.
mhm.
Except the crazy motherfuckers that are doing like the Reawaken America tours. Woo!
You need different people leading your shit. Like, and I don't mean that in a weird Libby, like, we need more prison guard, like, type way. Like, I don't want more like gay drone pilots. Like, it's more like no, like in a person's like actual life. Like, if they're going to have to interact with a lot of a certain kind of person, it's probably good if you're used to actually like respecting that person, because then you get to like it puts up less weird walls between people, and you can start off with a level of like respect and like acknowledgement of other people. Hi. So we can do I don't know, is there anything else you want to talk about when it comes to God?
So is the Christian mysticism dude with
Okay,
the AI. But I
you're gonna have
just
to.
briefly wanted to touch on that because
Hey man, we're out of my wheelhouse now, so I'm asking you questions. What's going on here?
well, so I didn't really want to get in too much detail on this stuff, but um I guess kind of in a way, like he calls himself a Christian mystic. His name's Blake Lemoine.
Oh yeah, baby, bring Christian mysticism back.
I know, right? He's like sitting there
What?
going like that shit, and I'm like,
It's the only
awesome,
way to make
dude.
Christianity cool.
Dude, I'm down. I've been down since 2020, but people don't want to like be down with that shit. Franciscan monks, let's go. um, but yeah, so he's a self-described Christian mystic, and but people are also pointing out he's also kind of a Discordian, which means he's going to pump some shit out there. But it's brought
So
up the
you more
question.
what's a
But
like a person that uses?
so Discordian is somebody like, I mean, you know the god Discordia, right?
So it doesn't have anything to do with the way that we're talking to each other right now, because that
Not Discord.
literally thought it was like a guy that really likes Discord.
No, a Discordian is somebody that follows a book that's called. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called like the Principia. Uh, yeah, Principia Discordia is like the book that they go by. It's the religious text for that group. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know much about it. I'm just looking it up real quick. But they basically their goddess is Eris, and their whole thing is creating chaos.
The chaos god.
Yeah. So basically, it's just to sow chaos. So they're saying this guy's just creating some chaos by calling himself a Christian mystic and all that stuff, and it fits. And it's in the chaos community. So I've seen some friends and people in the occult just bring it up and laugh it off.
Isn't that
They've
like
kind
how
of made fun of the guy at the same time as talk about how cool it is that the AI could be sentient in the future.
at this point I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait a minute, is there a third branch to this whole dichotomy, that like philosophical dichotomy that I've been getting? Because then you got like the Apollonian instinct and the Dionysian instinct, and it's like, okay, wait, is the Discordian one like a whole thing as well?
Yes.
Because I guess like people have always like assumed that the Dionysian impulse was like chaotic, and I was like, and it's more of an embrace of like desires.
I was gonna say, isn't that one more like drinking and bribing and that kind of stuff.
Drinking and fucking and vibing.
I was gonna say it's pretty much that.
Whereas like the
Drug,
Apple
sex, rock. Well, I guess that's kind of the other thing too. It's in that community, and I think that's why it comes up in a lot of
point, what is it? You've got the ego, the super ego, and the id.
That's in Freudian terms, though.
I know. I'm trying to force metaphors to see if there's any. I'm throwing ideas together to see if we can get like some kind of spark. Like, you know what I mean? I'm whacking flint. But I guess like, what even is the fucking super ego? That's like just ideals, right? And then like the ego is like how you try to like drive the two, because he believed that you had like your ideals and your disgusting wiener.
I don't know.
So I don't know.
We got from Discordian to
like,
Freud.
if you've got like an Apollonian and Dionysian impulse, like Discordian would almost be something external to you. Do you know what I mean? Like it would have to be like a Discordian isn't sucking and fucking. Like a Discordian is like throwing babies' heads at hospitals and like
No, man, they're doing the sucking, fucking, and drugs and shit too. They're just different god that they worship and shit, and they question everything, kind of things, and share everything. I don't know. They're nuts, man.
They're encouraged to fight each other.
What?
It's there's an encouragement to form schisms and weird cabals. It's just like, yeah, we just it's like drama for drama's sake. Like
probably. I mean,
this is silly. This is silly. I'm not taking this. I'm not taking this seriously.
Well, it's meant to be silly, dude. That's the thing. It's kind of absurdism for absurdism's sake. Like I share some Discordian memes, like Cultivaris Discordian memes on Facebook. I'll share them all the time. Some of them are funny as fuck. All right, so we're going from gods to guns now.
Welcome to Ohio. Here's your gun.
Should I insert the Hassan clip of him talking about the Ohio gun bill, because that went into effect on June 13th?
Wait, that actually passed?
No, it passed a long time ago, and now it's gone into effect on June 13th. So you can now carry a gun, and you don't have to inform a police officer when you.
Hey, that's the one where concealed carry is no longer required to conceal and carry, and you don't have to tell. And honestly, that is actually probably the only part of this law that I am okay with. Like if a cop just walks up to me and I'm carrying, it should not be like legally required for me to be like,
you don't have to volunteer any information.
By the way, sir, I have a gun. And like the way that the law was worded before is like, if you get arrested and you hadn't told that cop you have a gun and you do, they can do additional charges. And it's just like, no, fuck you. Like, no, like if I get asked, whatever, but like that law exists to me, I think, just as a way to like add more time onto someone's sentence. No, fuck that. That's the only good thing to come out of this trash pit of law, but that I will give, just because I'm an honest actor and I'm not a partisan hack. That seems good to me. That is fine. Okay, cool. When we get rid of this law, maybe let's keep that part. But I'm not like I'm against like just bull like. I think crimes need to have victims usually. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna go to jail, like I think there has to have been a victim.
No, I couldn't have agreed. Should probably like, be fine. Or
like I don't know who's the victim of me not like. Like I shouldn't have to fucking take the initiative when I'm talking to a cop. Like I don't want to talk to a cop anyway.
But you do see how that could possibly lead to bad situations with the cop, right?
Well,
like it just kind of leads to some situations that are kind of like, oops, yikes.
As far as I can tell, like it's all shit that the cops are already thinking anyway.
Probably,
So
but
it's
still.
like like that aspect of the law, absolutely nothing changes cop side, and a couple less people go to jail. So, but now everybody like fuck, like everybody can just have guns now, like in secret. That's awesome, right?
No. Road rage makes me feel real happy now, knowing people may have a gun, they can just go.
So there is a little bit of like a gonzo journalism that I was thinking about. Did I ever send you this message? No, that was in my
No.
other Discord group. So I'm not allowed to own firearms. I'm red flagged. It's fine. I'm not like mad about it or anything. Like whatever. Um, I was thinking about trying to do like a mini documentary of like trying to figure out like I as a person who should not own a gun. Do you know what I mean? Like just try to get one.
You can
Just
get
to
one right now, dude.
like
This is a
well,
high, man. You can go get one right now,
the
dude.
thing is technically, if I got one, it'd be a felony charge. So like
Yeah, you don't want to risk it, man, unless
that's the
you're
thing.
backed
That's
by.
why, like, I'm trying to figure out like how to like because I think that would be an important thing. Like I think me doing that and like putting that out so people could see it would be important
I
because
think
then it's like.
if you were to
But
do
the thing is,
something like,
like keeping me out of jail is also important because it's like okay, can I do this for like the New York Times or something? Like hey, I'm gonna try to get a gun, like, and then like if the cops come after me, just say, hey, we're actually like doing a documentary. We're trying to test to make sure that the laws work. Like, he wasn't even going to keep the motherfucker. Like, buy it and then fucking take it to the police. Be like, okay, this is how I did it, guys. Like, you know what I mean? But it definitely like, especially like with a law like this coming into place, I feel like it would be even easier for me to get and have one as a person who is not allowed to have one. You know what I mean?
so, but they are getting ready to do bipartisan bill. We're jumping a little bit ahead around. So federally, the bipartisanship bill is got red flag laws in it,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some controversy though because conservatives are like, we don't want no red flag laws at all in there. I find most of those guys usually have a history of incidents with laws like that and stuff.
Well,
But
and
they
it like
also say they've been falsely accused by like their spouses or exes or toxic relationships and shit. And I'm like, I don't know. That brings up a complicated question. Nobody's perfect, but
if you're well, nobody's perfect, but nobody should like not everyone should have guns.
I know, right? No
At least
shit, dude.
right now. Like, and this was something that I was talking about because like the big like all of these laws are like a dipshit attempt to stop our mass shooting problem. We have a big mass shooting problem. It's always happening in freaking schools for some reason. Like we need to stop it. Um,
And I
we're
think, but here's the bipartisan thing. I think a lot of people are agreeing on both sides. Everybody's like up the age of 21 when they're buying.
like everybody agrees with it, and I kind of agree.
Yeah, they're like up the age to buying a gun 21, like handguns and semis.
No, I mean
Autos.
it makes sense. The couple states that have tried that, like they do see a nice
Because
little.
look at everybody that's dying, dude. They're all young, man. They're young.
And then, but everybody's just like, well, criminals like don't obey laws. Like, okay, well, you can use that argument to invalidate literally every single fucking law.
I was gonna say
Like, fucking,
murder's illegal too, but I could still go do it.
it's not make like murder illegal anymore because bad people don't do it anyway. Fucking just as like this was a thing where I was talking about where like when we were going over economics, I was like, man, I hate literally having I hate having my prejudices validated. Like I hate it. There's nothing more. There's nothing more that I hate to where like I see something and I will like plant my flag. I'll just call my shot. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I think this person thinks. And I just loose, like, you know, I'm like that blindfolded archer. I'm just loosing that arrow, like.
We all got them shots calling, dude. Like, I've done it before, and you've seen me do it. I've seen you do it too. Oh, dude, speaking of something
so
like that,
aggravating.
that just reminded me of something. I don't remember what it was. It was about January 6th commission thing, dude. I don't remember what it was about that, though. Fuck. What was the connection I had, the tie-in? I can't remember. I was gonna say current events, something. I don't know.
I did have a huge, because I've got a an older woman that I talk to about politics, and she's like a ban all guns lady. Like, we don't need we definitely don't need no assault rifle. Like, it's very well meaning older hippie lib lady that probably doesn't fully understand why she has the positions she has. She's just trying to be a good person.
But we don't need.
You know the type.
Yeah, I know the type. I definitely know the type. But I really hate these types that are like, we need these AR-15s so that we can hunt prairie dogs.
Well, and the thing that I told, and I wasn't taking any position on the debate because I was like, look, the AR-15 is the gun that they use because it's just the one that we've got the most of bouncing around right now. Probably should not be a huge, like, there probably shouldn't be a huge civilian market for weaponry.
Man, this is America. This is the thing with the guns, gods, and genital.
But I also, like I mentioned, to where I was just like, I mean, there are other countries that are just as fucked up as us that don't have this problem, that have guns, like, that have just as many, like, per capita, almost as many guns as we do, and they don't. I kept telling them that I think there's something uniquely fucked up about us.
But I think some of those places, though, are like places where everybody has guns, but a lot of people are conscripted, like Sweden, like the Finnish. I don't know if it's Finnish or Sweden.
Sweden, I think everyone has to serve. Most other countries do, especially the tiny ones. Like, they've got involuntary conscription. Like,
I don't want to be the asshole that brings up Israel, but I mean, everybody knows that they have to serve in their military too. You know, fucking Gal Gadot and shit's had to serve.
I think in Vietnam you learn how to operate some of the most common firearms in the country, and you learn how to throw grenades in high school. I think we should just let them keep that country, boys.
So Ohio's also pushed through an armed teacher law in response to all of these.
This is actually the one that I was like, this is like bad. Like,
yeah, and I don't think I've even seen like conservatives that are like happy about it. But I have seen some teachers that are like, it does give me the ability to have control over the situation, and I'm like,
at the end of
you gonna have control in the situation when somebody's coming in your building shooting it up?
Is this guy that you were talking to a teacher, or is he a football coach that they slapped into a history
teacher?
Class?
It was a teacher.
Okay, an actual teacher.
It wasn't a history teacher, sports player. Okay, I mean sports coach. Sorry, I'm not even a player. But yeah, it was a teacher. But I feel like they give more control of the situation. I'm like, I can see that, but I still don't think you're gonna have total control of the situation with it, because.
And I do think there was a whole. People were always like, "Well, we got all these veterans."
Oh my like, god, dude!
Like,
let's give motherfuckers with PTSD guns and have them guard your kids.
Yeah, like, let's get some guy that fucking spent his formative years, dude, like, scalping.
These motherfuckers can't even handle these high schoolers trolling them on Twitch chat. What the fuck are they gonna do when they're guarding them? They're gonna be like, "You killed people overseas," and then they're just gonna be like, "Shut the fuck up, my friends." I don't know.
And there was a dude there that was a veteran, and he got mad at me, and I was like, and he thought I was gonna back down. Just like, I don't give a fuck how many fucking Vietnamese people you killed. I don't want you in school with a gun. He just kind of looked at me and was like,
we need to have more lax gun laws so that we can have our veterans rush in and save these kids. The cops wouldn't have let them go in the situation either, dude.
I honestly think that shit just comes from like when 9/11
No,
broke everyone's brain, and
that's people.
we had to like deify soldiers a little bit, to where it's just like, guys, like, I know you have this view of soldier, like, you know, and it's an important job. I'll give you that, but like, your typical EE1. Probably not the guy that you're gonna want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most of them. Like, it's the reason why we have that dumb gun. Like, it was designed to be used by a stupid person. The point of the design of some of the modern rifles we have, to where it's like, yeah, we literally needed to make a gun that the dumbest teenager you know could use without blowing off his own fucking foot. So yeah, that's what our empire's working with right now.
But I have noticed a lot of like local school districts are shutting. Not local for me. I don't know about my school districts locally, but I noticed like Columbus area and like city area districts are like a lot of urban areas are saying like, no, we're not gonna have our teachers have guns. Period.
And this is, I think, the reason why most people are against this particular thing as well, is because most people understand that it on some level is like wrong-headed. Um, like the CC, like, this is just an attempt at Mike DeWine to like chud whisper, because they're all mad at him because he tried to do the right thing for 2 months when COVID first started popping off, and all the Republicans hate him now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he very
Mike
like,
DeWine's not a real Republican. He's a
yeah, he
run out
very
liberal
like he very
commie.
he very tepidly was like, "Well, I will strongly encourage everyone to
I
like," and
would
then like,
ask that you please, the citizens of Ohio, please
yeah.
wear a mask and please be nice.
And then all of the people that voted for, you know, that vote Republican just started dropping like flies, and he was like, "Okay, guys, these are the rules now. We're not actually gonna fucking force them. I'm just gonna say on TV that these are the rules." And like, you guys are gonna get real, like, you know, everybody just got mad about
He's
it.
a tyrant. He's doing all these laws.
Like, literally, like you could, like, I would forget my mask all the time. I'd feel like an asshole, but like, fucking, you think you think like a Walmart employee is gonna be like, like, you know what I mean? Like, who's gonna?
I mean, they usually
Nobody.
ask you for your mask or go put a mask on or
Yeah,
whatever.
like,
Big
hey,
deal.
can you put your mask on? No, I mean, it's like, okay, well, fuck it. Like, I'm a minimum wage employee. Like every now and then, and maybe some more aggressively like Libby areas, like a cop would show up and politely ask you to leave. But like, who got drug away in chains? I ask you, GOP voters of Ohio, who got drug away in chains? My God, who got shot? Who died? I'll tell you who died. People that got COVID. People that got COVID died. Oh,
Oh. Well, COVID spiking again too. I don't know if you saw that.
oh yeah. No, I'm in like the worst county for it. No, I think all of these like new Ohio gun laws are strictly an attempt at Mike DeWine to try, because he's running against Blystone, right?
Blystone's out of the primary. He lost the primary.
Did he?
Yeah, it's so
Oh,
now we're
okay.
at DeWine versus Nan Whaley. And Nan Whaley's kind of poopy, but in my opinion, but
Yeah.
better than the line, probably.
No, and honestly, like if he would have kept up at least like putting in like the bare minimum effort, I at least would have been like, yeah, okay, like
I'm
you
not
know what
really a
I mean?
fan of Republicans lately because they've been putting like the foot down on being like oppressive and shit for people that want to cry and bitch about being like oppressed by the Democrats and the tyranny of the communist Joe Biden. Like words have meanings like anymore or
But
don't
yeah,
have.
and I think I was specifically talking about people uh saying that this is wrongheaded. And like what I told like the guy that I was arguing with about like this particular like why we probably shouldn't have teachers with guns was like the training required alone is like what we're talking like the training required to be able to accurately take down an armed combatant in a stressful situation and minimize civilian casualties. Children. In this case, um the amount of training required and the mindset that I think a person would have to be effective at that job, I think kind of ruins any mindset they might have developed to be an effective public school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a level of like compassion and consideration that you need to sort of I like kind of eliminate to be effective at that job, because if you're going to protect kids from other kids that might be threats, like you need to look at all the children of potential threats. And we can see how bad it is just having regular police officers in schools seems to be bad. Like it has a negative impact on students, um, especially students of color. You know, like not for nothing, but
Yeah, I was gonna say usually saw something where it affects them worse.
like if cops are shitty to black folks 24/7, like what makes you think they're gonna not do that when they're in a school? Like, you know what I mean? Um, and I know that is gonna trigger some people, but it's just like I'm sorry. There's only so much like compassion and like empathy and understanding I'm willing to extend to a person when they're like just trying to argue against brute facts. Like 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 I have been personally victimized by police, and I'm just poor. Like there's like I don't have the patience for people that are like you can like give them like FBI reports to where it's just like yeah they're doing this, and people are like no that's progressive facts, that's progressive science right there. It's not real science, and you're like it's not like
That's a made up science.
it's not like liberals don't have a monopoly on science, bro. Like this is just science. It's just saying something you don't want to hear, and happens to the DNC too. Happens to Dems and Libs. There's shit that they close their eyes to. Fucking, I will give that to you. But we're
All
not
right.
talking about those things right now.
So next kind of thing up, NRA lobby. If we were wondering if it's too strong, it probably is. But they represent a very small number of actual gun owners in America. I think a lot
I
of
think.
people will remember that. Hopefully, in the Republican side of things, but I
I mean,
doubt it.
that's a problem. That's a problem of just how we lobby in general. That's not special to the NRA. Like I could easily see this dynamic playing out in literally any of literally any other industry. Um, in fact, we have an example of it playing out in an industry. The lead and gasoline. Their lobby was too powerful. Like you had to like. It
I
took
mean, that's how
years.
Congress works. Casey's just too powerful in general, lobbying in general.
Yeah, like honestly, I think I think getting rid of, like, if we could figure out a way to get rid of lobbying, just get rid of it.
We can't get rid of that dark money though. We won't win elections on the Republican side of things if we do.
Well, and then I would also like, it was like, well, how are you going to get rid of corruption? And I'm like, fucking John F. Kennedy quote, bitch. Like we're not doing something because it's easy. Like, we don't, like, some things you're doing specifically because it's hard. Like, it's probably going to be really, really hard to get rid of a lot of the corruption in Congress. But we should probably do it. Like, it would help.
Yeah, we don't need none of them coke-fueled orgies.
And you know what? Those fucking, like, just help. You can keep your coke orgies. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's adrenochrome. It's not coke.
Well, for the Democrats, it's the adrenochrome. For the Republicans, it's coke.
You tell me, like, if something like adrenochrome wasn't real, that, like, Mitch McConnell wouldn't have, like, underwear laced with it at all times. Like, come on.
So adrenochrome is real. It's just like crystallized adrenaline, dude, or whatever. But a bunch of people saw it in Fear of Loathing in Las Vegas with Hunter S. Thompson and shit, and they're like, that gonzo journalist was telling the truth. That's the real facts.
Well, the thing, like, okay, like, the chemical itself is real, but, like,
the mythology behind it is fake. Like, it's a shit post gone out of control.
People played Amnesia: The Dark Descent and was like, I'm gonna pour the torture juice out of people and that's gonna give me superpowers. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, that's not really how. You can probably make adrenochrome with like baking soda and like wasp spray. like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a chemical compound. Like, you can. Like, you don't have to torture a baby to get it. Like,
I don't know how we got on this topic, but since we're talking about adrenochrome, I might as well link my adrenochrome article in UBI and why we should switch over from Monsters Inc. fear harvesting system to a joy system. So I'll link that article in below if I remember. I'm trying to rush this along a little bit, Logan, because of like the timing.
All right, genitalia.
Yeah, so we're on genitalia now. In Ohio's anti-trans nonsense.
We are the official anti-trans state.
Well, we're right behind Florida, Texas, and Arizona. Texas and Florida have started banning drag shows. Well, they're banning kids from being around drag shows.
Okay, first...
Them drag shows are indoctrinating your kids, Logan.
This is like the political version of like making up a guy to be mad at.
Yeah, it's literally straw man culture war shit.
Just like, well, we're gonna ban kids from going to drag shows. It's like, why?
I'll just be honest with you. I'll say it.
Let go. I don't care.
I've pointed it out multiple times. So that one time he pointed out the Alex Stein video of him like making fun of city council, like being a fool.
Uh-huh.
Well, he was like on a right-wing binge, dude, and like he started going to like all these like trans events, or not trans events, like LGBTQ events, and like trying to get into them, like making a scene and shit. I don't know how to describe it.
He's making an ass of himself, basically, and everyone like, look, man, you're not welcome here. Go away. Like,
today he was at a Republican event, and at this Republican event, he was basically calling Dan Crenshaw, like, I don't know what it was. Fucking rhino, globalist rhino. He's part of the global World Economic Forum, all this shit, whatever.
I mean, like, man, Republicans are playing with fire. Like, they're whipping up. They are playing into the worst tendencies of their voter base. They are simultaneously slashing education. You're basically creating a bunch of really, really pissed off people who have no futures. and who are actually incapable of understanding why that is the case.
Well, I don't think they're incapable. I think that some of them are just assholes, dude. They're just anti-left wing asshole capitalist shit, but anti-government types. You know what I mean?
I'm saying that that's like that mindset is purposefully cultivated.
Yeah. But they're also the ones cultivating and profiting off of that mindset too, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. So one of the
severe Jimmy legs.
Jimmy legs.
So I think you looked into the different bills a little bit more than I did. I didn't really look into them.
The big two were HB 151 and Ohio HB 454. I called them the "Let me see your no place" law and the "Fuck them trans kids" law.
So I've watched some testimony over 454, and at first the testimony that I saw was like all from anti-trans people in the thing, and nobody that's pro trans side of things.
I looked into actually like who was speaking on behalf. So literally everybody that opposes HB 454 is like Christian mom activist.
Everybody
like,
that's pro HB 454, you mean?
Yeah. Everybody that's pro HB 454 is like anti-trans activists, like Christian moms for not having sex anymore, like
different Christian like health groups or whatever, Christian science groups.
Like the president of My Wife Won't Fuck Me like institute, like just. And then, like, everybody that opposed it was like, no, this is bad, was like, fucking doctor. Like of medicine. And it's just like, Jesus fucking. Like, Jesus Christ.
Or people with anecdotal evidence where they transitioned and then detransitioned.
They found the one person, like, that regretted transitioning. If they'd been fucking carting around.
It's not, like, what's not even the one person. That person's just been going around on Twitter just making a scene, and they're like, oh, this person's in the culture war, let's grab them.
I thought I was trans, and I hated myself. And Jesus told me that was okay, and now I'm not anymore. And it's just like the way these people talk is like so, like they've been like mind whammied. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, God fucking damn it. Like, and it kills me to see people like that, because it's like you see this person and you're like, this person had absolutely no chance at happiness whatsoever in their life, regardless of how they turned it, like regardless of like their sexuality, like regardless of like whatever unique identity configurations they have. Like, it's just like they're just fucked. You know what I mean? And they're just gonna keep engaging in these like toxic, like self-destructive cycles, and like just the world's just gonna eat them, and it kills me. Especially like that lady that was like doing the conversion therapy shit, basically. It's just like this. Like, it sounds like you weren't doing all that great before you transitioned, let alone after.
The other thing about the hearings that I really loved were like, my kid doesn't love me, as they're like dead naming their kid and like not admitting their kid's preferred pronouns and like calling them mentally ill. It's like, gee, I wonder why they ran away from home. You fucking idiot. Why. I don't believe my daughter is trans.
So yeah, HB 151, which I called the "Let me see your no place" law, was the like, we basically banned trans kids from sports, and there was a provision in it which has since been struck down, to where like we would require genital inspections, and everybody was immediately like this is a sus law.
Like, women are gonna get abused with this law, dude. Like, and every woman that I'd seen talk about it with a brain was like, yeah, women are gonna get hurt by this. I mean, Look at Ohio State and Michigan State.
So yeah, that part
And Penn State.
that part of the law has since been struck down, and the Democrats have celebrated this grand fucking victory of now we're just banning trans kids from sports, but we're not going to fondle their ball.
I don't think I've never really seen any Democrats celebrate, but I don't know. I've seen them go quiet.
Bug person world this week, so I'm getting exposed to like the worst people.
Well, I sent you that tweet where it's like, all the activists are going cold, and I'm like, maybe, but
it's too much. There's honestly there's almost too much bad shit going on to where like activists probably we're probably gonna have to just fucking figure out who we're just gonna have to let drown and just solve one thing at a time.
It's not even that, man. It's like activists kind of have to pick their thing that their specialty is in. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. My activism is probably going to be healthcare, so we can get people with like teeth and shit. I don't know.
And then
people can actually afford to go to doctor and go get care done, man. I don't know.
But yeah, HB 454 is the one where I don't know if it was the it was the one where like talking to trans kids and like helping them get like gender affirming care is like reclassified as child abuse.
I don't think it was that far, but I know it was gonna get rid of access to care.
Yeah, like don't let trans kids, specifically puberty blockers.
Yeah,
I think it's the thing that they're all hung up well now. And it like the thing that really, really aggravates me, like when talking to people, is just like, do you really think, do you really, really, honestly think that it would if this passes, like if HB 454 was passed, and okay, cool, trans teens can't get puberty blockers anymore. Do you honestly think that the GOP is going to stop there? Like you really think that's the end of it? They're just like, okay, cool, it's done. Trans kids can't get puberty blockers anymore. We've achieved what we've wanted. We're moving on to a new issue now. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're done hurting trans kids.
And they're hurting such a minimal amount of people. Also, the bill that was put into place for the House Bill 151 was so I guess the backstory was the initial process of putting the bill into place. The high school where the person complained about, the person wasn't even trans. They were just a cisgender person that was tall and short hair or small hair or short haircut. And
yeah, she was a big girl with short hair.
That's a transgender man playing women's sports.
It's the fucking Simone Biles thing. You can't, and I have trouble explaining this point to a lot of people because they still operate under like this assumption that there is like somehow like some kind of like magical fundamental difference between the sexes, and it's just like there really isn't. Like, I know that because for 75% of people you think that is the case, but there are people that are born with like they're fucking what's it called? Intersex. Like intersex people exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not as clear cut as you fucking think it is. And you can't actually create a law that just targets trans people. It's always going to catch a couple cis people too. And it's like, and I'm not saying that you should not, like, it's the wrong reason to do the law. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying like, oh, because we are going to hurt this cis person, we shouldn't also attack all these trans people. I'm saying that being true is what is invalidating the worldview leading to a person to want to do that in the first place. Because one day as far as I fucking know, we could invent some surgery, or we could invent some drugs, or we could invent a process that will fucking fully, like, actual, like, like an actual fucking sex change, like, on a fundamental level. Like, that's probably possible, like, at least in the abstract sense. Do you know what I mean? To where, like, trans women could even, like, give fucking birth and breastfeed. Like, like, science marches on, bro. Like, it might one day be possible. And when that happens, the fuck you gonna do? Well, if you're folks like Lady M, you're just gonna be like, well, I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, well, fucking, like, take a dick for a spin. I don't know. Maybe you'll like it. But I just don't. I wish the world was less. I do wish the world was less hostile to people that seem a little different. Like, I don't know. I don't know why we are, and I do think that that's kind of what led me to Marxism. It's because it's like, okay, like, maybe there's some other force here. Like, maybe we're trying to, like, like, maybe there's some kind of external pressure, like, making people weird.
Yeah. All right, I think we're at a good stopping point for this episode, Logan. We've done enough gods, guns, and genitals.
Genitalia. Show me
Which is a spoof on the traditional, like, right wing gods, guns, and country.
Oh, was it God's? Was it? What was the that one lady that her campaign slogan is Jesus, guns, babies?
God, Jesus, guns, babies.
Guns, babies.
And then there's the meme where they throw up the baby and pull.
I'm gonna trigger our listeners. If you look, and if someone's slogan is Jesus, guns, babies, and you think it is cool and good, you are sick, and you need help. You need to talk to people. Like, you need to talk to your children. You need to listen to them. like, you need Jesus.
I don't know, man. Them children probably indoctrinated as fuck too, though.
Oh my god!
Because I saw that video the other day from the Pride rally in Idaho, and there's a teenager that's like shitting, talking about these books are indoctrinating people, but they're wearing biker leathers, dude. A fucking teenager wearing biker leathers for an MC club, you know? And you want to talk about indoctrination? Like,
what are they?
Somebody's wearing an indoctrination. Like, you're wearing this shit on your shirt. Well, vest.
Well, not also like it. Like,
it's a religious biker gang too, by the way. So we're gonna not.
Yeah, part. No, it was that whole like. Yeah, I remember the bikers for Trump. Like, but it's that whole joke about the fish, where like this one fish like swims by these like two other fish, and he's like, "Oh, hey boys, good evening. How's the water?" And like keeps swimming on, and then the two fish like keep swimming, and one looks at the other one and just goes like, "What the fuck is water?" Like, do you know what I mean? Like that kind of like a lot of people don't actually have they don't have the tools or the like nobody's fucking told them about what water is. And like whenever someone is telling them what water is, like they're being told not to listen to that guy. He's crazy.